So it's time to start thinking about putting the glass on. First step involved with that is to install the timber edge boards that would create that valley that the glass will sit. What I've done here already is I've pre-mitered the edge board for this corner here. I've pre-drilled and countersunk holes every 100 mil along the actual length of the board. And I've got my stainless steel decking screws ready. The actual tool to pre-drill and countersink is this one here from Maxim. It's actually really handy, it's used for building decks. And the actual screws I'm going to be using, also a decking screw, stainless steel 50 mil. So here you can see the actual valley that's formed from the timber decking board that's screwed to the face of the aquarium. And that little valley allows the glass to sit down inside of it and be siliconed in very nice and tight. Don't be too worried about trying to tidy up the silicone for the first pass. There's plenty of time to actually cut off any excess silicone with a razor blade and do a smooth decorative finish afterwards. So that is float glass. That's a bit dramatic actually, isn't it? God damn it, Adam. Alright, so glass is a bit tougher than what you actually think. But that is an example of what happens to float glass when it breaks. So, I don't know if you can see here, but this glass has cracked into 4 or 5 main pieces. Large cracks. Float glass is used because should that aquarium crack for some reason, that 1 or 2 large cracks won't allow all the water in the tank just to flow out and gush out all over your lounge room floor. The other option in glass is toughened glass. Now toughened glass is the same as float glass initially, and then it's gone through a treatment process to allow it to have much stronger physical capabilities than float glass, and that's the reason it's used in car windows, in architectural glazing, in pool fencing. Righto, so there are limitations in using toughened glass in an aquarium. So you can't drill it, you can't make holes in it, you can't cut it. Once the glass itself is toughened, that's it. The shape that it is the shape that it is. I've had to make sure that the glass panels that I got for this aquarium were exactly the right size that I was chasing. And I needed 3 panels. So the front 2 panels were from the same job, the same pool fencing job, they were surplus. So I knew they're going to be the same height. But that last end panel, the short end panel, I had to actually hunt around and try and find a piece that was going to be exactly the same height because I couldn't cut other pieces of glass down to suit if they were already toughened. The reason why toughened glass is not so commonly used in everyday aquariums is because if that aquarium receives a blow to it, and that toughened glass should break, it doesn't actually break like this. It doesn't actually have one or two main cracks that go through it. It explodes into tiny, tiny pieces. So you would have seen occasionally a car that's had an accident on a roundabout or the highway, and you'll see shattered tiny, tiny pieces of glass all across the road. That's toughened glass that's exploded on impact. Saying that, toughened glass is actually really quite tough. It's very resistant to impact on its face. Where its weakness lies is on the edge of the glass. So if toughened glass receives a blow to the face, it's very resistant. If toughened glass receives a blow to the edge, that's where it can shatter, or explode I should say. So why have I used toughened glass in my giant turtle and rainbowfish tank build? So I guess firstly it was cost. At 1.8 meters long, a meter high, two of those, and another sheet of glass that's 1.2 meters long by a meter high, that would probably cost me upwards of about $1,000. When I was going on Marketplace and I was looking for second-hand glass, I actually came across a lot of brand new pool fencing. Pool fencing needs to be toughened. It's exposed to the elements, to rain, to balls, to hail. So why am I not concerned about using toughened glass in my rainbowfish tank build? Well, I am. That's the truth that I am. I deliberated a lot about what glass to use for the aquarium, and in the end it just did come down to that choice. I only had a certain budget to use, and I made the risk analysis that if I used toughened glass, but I had actually significantly braced the perimeter of all the glass edges, the corners of the tank, and braced the top of the tank with the aluminium angle, then I've braced it against bowing, but I've also protected all those edges of the glass against impact. It's the edges of the toughened glass that's most at risk of damage and causing that glass to explode. Here's a rundown of the actual back timber capping on the turtle tank. This is a 140mm wide board by 19mm thick, and I've actually pre-drilled and countersunk the actual screw fixings with the Maxim countersinking bit, and that just creates that really nice finish with the stainless steel decking screws. And I actually really like these star-shaped decking screws. You don't get any burring, and it's really, really easy to install them. The other good thing about using a 140mm board along here, besides being decorative, is that it actually creates an overhang that will discourage any turtles from trying to climb up and out, and it also provides just some bracing and strengthening along this back wall. Rain! Again! It's been going on for days here, and I didn't mean for this to happen, but you can certainly see that we've got ourselves a little bit of a water test going on here. The bottom seals here are holding up quite well, and I've got no issues there. I haven't finished doing the corner bracing, that corner bracing. I haven't finished doing the cross bracing from the front to the back, nor the faceplate that goes along the two panes of glass in the middle. Although this water test, this random water test is it's okay, we wouldn't want this to go too deep. Time for a quick update on the bracing of the turtle and rainbowfish tank. So I finished the aluminium angle, the 50 by 100 on this side here. So that just nicely obscures that end-on view of what was timber and silicon. I've made sure these screws here have actually penetrated all the way through into the original timber stud framing. That way it's linking the actual bracing into the actual framework itself. There's a cover plate from that join. It's 100mm aluminium, and same story here. I've actually made sure I've actually screwed the aluminium angle down into the stud walling itself, and you can see I've also bolted on the cross bracing to the back wall, and those two screws all the way back there are also screwed down into the timber framing. So I haven't put the long bracing here, as you can see. So I'm not 100% certain if I'm going to. When I actually remove the long bracing on the coral tank inside to replace it with that braided stainless steel balustrading cable, the tank didn't move. The actual angle that was around the actual top perimeter was more than sufficient to actually prevent the bowing. So the concept of having this angle here is to stop the glass with the weight of the water from flexing out that way. The weight of the water will actually push the glass out that way, cause it to bow and flex outwards. But the idea with the angle is to stop that from happening. As you know, an angle is a very solid structural profile. Along this long line here, the same story, 3.6 metre long span. I have got those cross braces in there. But the reason why I'm considering not putting one down the middle is two things. One is I really want to have a much more open look, and if I don't need to have it, I don't want to have it. And the other is the glass that I'm using is 12mm toughened glass. So this glass itself is actually pool glass fencing. What I'm thinking is that twofold. Number one, it's thicker glass. 12mm glass rather than 10mm glass is what I've been using inside with the coral tanks, and it's toughened. And toughened glass itself is a lot more resistant to bowing than normal float glass. Thanks for watching, and coming soon on our channel, pond renovation, more pond renovation. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.